I would like to formally welcome all of you to our today's session. We're going to speak about app accessibility, what's new. My name is Rohit. I'm a lead accessibility specialist. I work with a lot of clients across EMEA, across APAC, and it's just been a privilege, helping them with their accessibility journey. I am joined here with Srinivas Karthikeyan, who's a product manager from the app accessibility team. Shri, if you would like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Rohit. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining the session. My name is Srinivas. I'm from the accessibility product team at BrowserStack, and I've been with BrowserStack for the last 3 years, and I've been building app accessibility testing product from scratch. In this session, I'm excited to discuss how we have simplified the accessibility testing for mobile apps specifically, and looking forward to the session. Back to you, Rohit.
Thank you, Shri. Uh, a, a few housekeeping items before we begin. Today's session will be around 60 minutes. The session is being recorded. We'll have a dedicated 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. So, we as a company love questions. So, we're gonna give that 15 minutes to do that. But please feel free to use the Zoom Q&A window in the Zoom application to post your questions. We would love to pick them up, and hopefully somebody from our team will also try and reply to them. We can get started with a quick view of what our agenda looks like. We've tried to keep it as short, crisp, and fun as possible. We're going to be speaking about mobile app accessibility, why it matters. What are the important steps that clientele across the EMEA region or the APAC region are looking at from steps to build an accessible mobile app. Sri is of course going to pick up a quick demo of app accessibility. But before that, I would like to also share with you all the challenges that our customers are facing with mobile app accessibility and how a few of them, at least the top ones, how they're looking at it. And we'll quickly get started because we always short on time with such webinars. So moving on, why does accessibility matter? Well, a WHO article that I read recently, and in fact, it's been going around for a long time now. It says that 1.3 billion people in the world have some form of disability. So that essentially means 16% of the world population has some form of disability that has been discovered or undiscovered. Now, what does that mean to mobile app users? This number kind of drills down to a place where 45% of iOS users have one or more accessibility setting activated on their phone, and around 63% of Android users have a similar number of accessibility settings activated on your phone. What this means is that they are using some form of help to access your brand on a mobile app. And what this directly implies is that we have to cater to this audience. It's not only the right thing to do, but it's an important thing to do. Which brings us to the second point, why clients usually have looked at accessibility, and something that we have been hearing a lot for a long time. It's also to build an inclusive brand. It's quite important that customers from all facets of life are able to access your mobile apps, interact with your technologies, and it's an observed fact that there has been a bump in revenue for these clients who actually look at building an inclusive brand. The third point is, of course, something to do with legality. It's been spoken about a lot recently, at least for the last 6 months, especially because of the European Accessibility Act, which says by June 2025, all clients that are, all websites, mobile apps that are serving the European Union needs to be accessible in nature. The rise in the ADA lawsuits in the US is something from a phenomenal standpoint that we have seen that it's been just increasing year on year. And something interesting on this aspect when it comes to mobile apps is that usually the second lawsuit is targeted towards mobile app accessibility. So it just shows that how important mobile app accessibility is in the whole space of accessibility. All right. This particular slide will quickly give you a view about about the 2023 Adobe accessibility analysis that happened. Towards the left, you will see all the top accessible industries. There's construction there, there's consumer tech there, hospitality, food and beverages, and automotive. And towards the right, you will see the least accessible, industries. And you'll all be astonished to know that lately, in the last 1 year, we have been having a lot of conversations with clients on the right hand side. And it's fairly so. There's a huge implication from a legality standpoint. But I think clients have started to realize how important accessibility is and how it impacts revenue, how it's the right thing to do. And luckily, legislations have helped us, reach a space where these conversations are being a core part of, an everyday discussion at these companies. I would like to kind of highlight what is an accessible mobile app. Uh, it's fairly simple to say that it is something that your end user, who might have some form of disability, is able to access it with his or her assistive technologies. So what that means is that it's easy to navigate, it's intuitive, it follows core principles, in the form of an inclusive design. There's also a clear visual hierarchy that doesn't need to necessarily rely on color or sound. So that's what we are seeing, where highly accessible mobile apps are being built in this space. And what I would like to do is you know move on to the maybe next aspect of the agenda, where the challenges have started coming in from a mobile app accessibility standpoint, and what we are hearing, learning, and seeing from our clientele. uh, every time we host a conversation around mobile app accessibility or web accessibility in general, what we are noticing is that everybody says that there's a huge lack of awareness in the company. The regulations have started kicking in, and people are now looking at it because of the compliance push. But there's still a lot of awareness. And what that also means is that the expertise to look at accessibility for mobile apps specifically might not be there, or is something that the company is trying to build on. And one of the reasons behind that is because of the complexity of WCAG for mobile apps. Just to kind of delve a bit deeper into that, what that means is when W3C, instituted WCAG as guidelines for web content accessibility, it was all based on web technologies. So it is companies like us that have taken kind of have taken the challenge to map this to a specific guidelines that suits mobile app users. And what this means is that device fragmentation and limited tooling and standardization of this particular approach has led to a lot of challenges for our clients. We have also noticed that there's a lack of feedback from real users. And in all the conversations that we have had so far, usually it's a third party audit that tells companies that, what the accessibility criteria looks like. But I would request folks on this webinar to maybe host a session, invite disabled users and users who are not able to interact well with mobile apps, to kind of give real feedback on your products, so that you are able to understand how you can go ahead and maybe make your mobile apps more accessible. Time and resource constraints is always going to be an issue for any organization of any size and nature. So that's the given for any of the objectives for a company, right? Uh, what I'll do is, before we kind of move on and show you more else of what we can do, I would love Srini, who's been building this product for a while, to kind of chime in and speak his thoughts around this.
Yeah, sure. So Rohit, you very well covered most of the aspects. I would like to answer one of the Q&A because it's very well related to the topic that you're discussing right now, right? One question that came up is, do we support Jetpack and Shift UI, right? So that is another problem with app accessibility testing, right? So it's very much fragmented, right? You have to test on iOS devices, Android devices, the processes are different, and you have to go through multiple tools. Anyway, we can continue in the next slide. So what I'm going to talk about. So the setup is going to be tedious, right? Because of the fragmentation. So the process is different for iOS, the process is different for Android. In iOS, it's even more complex. That's what I have heard from multiple folks who have talked about it, right? Be it accessibility experts or manual testers mainly. It's not easy for them to get even started. So that's where the real problem is. There are some players in the market who have tried to solve this problem, but in a way they have introduced more problems. Like you either have to give access to the code, or you have to install a desktop application and you have to connect your own device. It's like chaos there. And secondly, as an accessibility tester, I would like to test on at least a couple of devices. right? Couple of Android devices with different screen sizes, different voice versions. Similarly, I would like to do on iOS also. In a way, like I would like to test on 4 or 5 devices to ensure that my app is accessible. That's what I would like to do. And that's what many people do. But getting these access to these devices, it's not easy. It's like expensive, and sometimes maintenance is also very difficult because you have to keep upgrading the devices as the market launches new ones. And in a way, that linked to the third one, juggling between multiple tools, right? Because the processes are different, I need to find out different tools for different OSs and different frameworks. On top of it, if I want to do screen reader testing, and I have to find a tool that supports it, right? So in a way, users have to juggle between multiple tools. In a way, that takes away so much of their time and effort. And last but not the least, this is the most important piece, and it has come out in the last 2 years that I have been working on in accessibility. We mostly talk about issue detection, but that's just one side of the story. Most of the time is being spent on understanding the issue and then how to fix the issue. And most of the products, I wouldn't call all, because some of them are really great already, but then some of them, they don't provide you how to fix instruction that are easy to understand, or also even find out where the issue I need to spend some time, right? So that, and most of the time the instructions are very much dev specific, and it's not easy for QA folks to understand. In our poll, we have seen that most of the testing is being done by QA today, and this is very difficult for them to interpret and make some action on it, right? So these are the challenges that I have come across in my interactions with the folks so far. Yeah, back to Rohit.
Thank you for sharing that, Sri. And I mean, I've been part of these interviews that keep doing with customers, and it's a lot of customers coming back to us, challenging us on how we can kind of go ahead and build a product that suits their needs, that helps solve for this problem globally. So thank you for sharing that. Uh, Coming to the crux of the discussion, what does it mean to build an accessible mobile app or a product? How do you go about building it? That is something that I would like to kind of delve a bit into. Uh, Honestly, I'm just taking the learnings that I have learned from all the amazing clients across EMEA, the government organizations, and the APAC region too. So let's move on to the next slide, where I can show you how these clients are looking at building accessible apps. Uh, well, the first thing that they do is right from the start, that's on the design side of things, they're looking at accessibility. UI UX colleagues are always been have always come into this problem from a very user-driven approach. So they always think from an empathy standpoint. They always think, what does it mean for users to uh, access their mobile apps? How can they interact with it? How can they work better with it? And in my interactions with these clients, they've always come in with this approach where they have been trying to look at design by looking at looking at looking at maybe some additions to their Figma plugin or anything like that, so that they can build those components. Uh, these clients have also always looked at having accessibility as a part of their SDLC. Like we all know, the the more left it is, the better it is, because what happens is that you're able to kind of find issues very early on, or you're able to not have those issues go back to the QA side of things and then come back on a feedback loop or the audit side of things. So it's better to have this on various aspects of your SDLC cycle. We have also noticed that these clients are looking at accessibility from a multi-pronged approach standpoint. So there is a lot of design colleagues involved, there's a lot of development colleagues involved, and there's also a lot of QA colleagues involved in the accessibility space. There's usually a committee where everybody comes together, there are guilds, they speak a lot about it. There's a lot of collaboration, across these teams, especially with product owners coming in and being that cohesive piece where they all help them to come together. Something that I would like to, I can't emphasize this enough. You have to test with real users who use assistive technologies to access your mobile apps, because it's imperative that you understand what your users face when they're accessing your technology. It's always good to also follow a recognized accessibility guideline. For example, the WCAG is the most recognized. It's been used by every country across Europe. Every country in these regions have kind of made rules around it, regulations around it. This lovely adoption of these, WCAG guidelines across every country, especially countries like France that have done an amazing job with RGAA also coming in. So it's always good to follow a recognized guideline, and it's always good if you have businesses that cater to multiple countries across geography. Uh, if you follow one guideline, the collaboration, the communication between your departments becomes more easy, and you know what is your North Star. Is it WCAG 2.2 AA or WCAG, 2.1, 2.1 AA? So that's a bit about what we are seeing. At least the great folks, who are doing it quite well, and we learn from them, and we try to, help others and show them how it's done. I'll let Sri maybe chime in and speak a bit about, what he's thinking, on these lines. Yeah.
Sorry,
Sri,
I was on mute.
yeah.
Yeah. So I would just like to add one more point. If you can go back to the previous slide. So just one more point to add there. Like, this is my interaction. Again, I'm bringing my context so much, so apologies for that. But this is my interaction. Each and every expert out there say that we have to start accessibility testing as part of your design phase, and also it should be part of your SDLC, and that's what you also mentioned. But one point that I have learned very recently that actually it was very surprising to me as well. 70% of the accessibility issues that we detect today, most of them can be identified in the design phase itself. 70% of the issues can be identified in the design phase itself. So what it translates to is that if these issues are resolved then and there, and is it part of if part of SDLC cycle, we'll be saving so much of money and time. Usually what we do, we'll like take this debts and then go to auditing, and then auditor takes their own time, and then we fix those issues. In the process, we at least lose out 5x of the time and cost that we are actually spending today. So that is one important point that I want to bring in. Yep, probably we can go to the next slide. Cool. So now that we have talked so much about accessibility, what is accessibility, why it is important, what are the challenges that people face with accessibility, we now want to introduce you all to app accessibility testing. So we have been building this product for a while, mainly to help people build accessible mobile apps. And app accessibility product helps you achieve WCAG guidelines at least 5x faster, right? So we have removed all the friction in the process. So for you to get started, it's just a couple of clicks away. So I'll be showing some of this value proposition in the demo as well, but I would like to highlight some of the key features that we have built, right? So first and foremost is zero setup and real devices, which I want to emphasize more on. The thing is, we have talked so much about why setup is a problem and then getting access to a problem. But with BrowserStack, these problems are completely taken away from you. You don't have to worry about setup. You don't have to worry about accessing to real devices, because BrowserStack has a cloud infrastructure of 20,000 plus devices hosting across multiple data centers. So getting started is just a couple of clicks away. On one click, you access to the device, and another click, you just install your application and get started. That's about it. It's as simple as that. And secondly, we also discussed about like testing taking more time, resources is a problem that Rohit highlighted. So in a way, if people are doing manual testing today, manual accessibility testing today, they're mostly using screen readers and then voice control and so on. With screen readers, you have to enable screen reader, go through each and every element one by one. You have to listen to the audio, and you make sense of whether it is fine or not, right? Whether you are able to make an action out of it. So this is a very tedious process, and doing screen reader testing is very important, but at the same time, it should be like one of the checklists. You should not be spending entire time in doing screen reader testing. So that's why we have built our own rule engine, BrowserStack proprietary rule engine. It helps you detect most of the common accessibility issues. Right? What do I mean by common accessibility issues? Another data point to share here. Basis our internal benchmarking, own benchmarking, we have like taken 50 to 60 apps, and we have done our own benchmarking. With that, we figured out that the common accessibility issues are touch target size, color contrast, and so on. These are already covered by 10 to 12 WCAG success criteria. 10 to 12 WCAG success criteria contributes to close to 70% of the issues that you might find on any application. And with BrowserStack, we provide coverage to most of the success criteria, and we are continuously investing more time on improving the coverage as well. So that is about the advanced rule engine part. So it helps you save more time. And finally, we want to cover about the debugging point as well. Again, as we discussed earlier, for QA folks, the information that are being provided today are like very complicated nature. So what we have tried to solve is we provide you with a screenshot as well as annotation. So finding where the issue is like very easy. On top of it, it's very easy for you to interpret the how to fix instruction and fix it yourself. So it's very simple for you to get started. And also on the other side, we also provide you with cloud dashboard so that you can access the report anytime you want. And we also give you the summary of each and every build that you have done, right? So these are the important points that I wanted to highlight and show the value prop before moving on to the demo. So this is our landing page, BrowserStack App Accessibility landing page. So we have covered about like what is the feature, and you can just get a gist of what are the features that we provide today. And you can quickly go to get started, and it will take you to the product page, right? So there are like three key main sections here: app workflow scanner, manual test report, screen reader. We can go one by one, and I'll start with app workflow scanner. So this is where the rule engine side of things that we talked about comes into play, right? So the navigation is manual. It's still a manual testing product. You have to do things manually, but the issue detection is very much automatic. You don't have to do so many things. Like we detect issues automatically using the rule engine that we have created. And all the devices that you see here are real devices. These are not emulators or simulators. These are real devices hosted on BrowserStack infrastructure. If BrowserStack is new to you, we'll show how device interaction happens. So in a way that will also you can gain out of it. And as I called out, the getting started is simple. It remains the same for both Android devices and iOS devices. When you click on the device, it's going to find out the nearest device in the data, like nearest device in the data center, and it's going to reboot a device. And the device is pretty clean. What do I mean by clean? If there are any testing that happened in the device previously, everything is flushed out. Whenever you started testing, it's a new device that comes to you. So all your data, everything is so secure. Now, as soon as the device is launched, you get these options here, right? Just a second. Yeah, so mainly you have an option to upload your application. So there was a question, what is installing application? So you have an APK file or IPF file. You'll be able to upload it here. And secondly, you can also choose to install it via Play Store. So it will allow you to log into Play Store and install your application. Secondly, if you are using iOS device, you will have an option to install via App Store. And along with that, you also have an option to install via TestFlight. If your application is in a beta stage, you can use TestFlight to install the app on the device and get started with the testing. For this demo, I'll just use the sample app that we have already uploaded in our infrastructure. So what it's going to do, it's going to download the app. In this case, we are using the Wikipedia sample app. It's going to install on the device, and then it is going to get started. We'll just wait for a couple of seconds. Yeah, that's about it. Now on the left-hand sides, there are like some of the useful features that are out there. To start with, if you want to simulate the device locations, right? If you want to go to a particular region and then just want to simulate how your app is going to react to that particular region, then you can simulate the device location, or you can use IP geolocation also. And we also have local testing support. What is local testing? If your app retrieves data from your local environment, right? If it is like pre-prod environment, you can enable local testing so that it can fetch the necessary data from your pre-prod servers. And additionally, you also have an option to select the WCAG compliance. So currently 2.1 AA is the norm, as Rohit mentioned. But even if you want to go advanced, like if you want to go 2.2 AA or 2.2 AAA, and that's also possible with BrowserStack. And additionally, you also have an option to enable best practices. So one thing to note down here is like accessibility is not just specific to WCAG guidelines, right? It's more than that. You want to allow every user to use your app and enjoy your app, right? So that's why this best practice is also coming into play. To give an example, not supporting dark mode, it's not a WCAG violation as of today, right? But then providing that will enable more folks, especially with light sensitivity, to work on your app very well. So that is when the best practice is coming into play. And if you want to enable it, like you can feel free to do it. Once that is done, you can just click on start scanning button here. It's as simple as that. So I have done only 2-3 clicks so far. One to select the device, another to install the application, and now I'm clicking on start scanning. Here, what's happening? The rule engine I talked about, we have written so many algorithms. So it's being processed in the backend. And also we are doing some dynamic checks. It's not only about the static check that is in play. We are also doing some dynamic checks. That's why you might have seen the screen is being rotated. So to identify whether the app supports both landscape and portrait orientation, we rotate the screen and check whether it's actually working or not. So these are some of the checks that we do. And as you can see, all the devices are, sorry, all the issues that we have identified or highlighted here, right? In total, we have identified 9 serious issues, and the issue categories are given here. So touch target size, we have found 3 issues, text element, color contrast, we have found 2, and so on. And the severity of the issues also given here on the right hand side. So when I first started using this tool with this information, it felt very easy because I have done accessibility testing in the past, and it was very easy to consume the information. And similarly, like as I mentioned, it's the navigation is pretty manual today. So you have to go whichever the screen you want to, and just click on again scan viewport. The same story repeats. The navigation is pretty manual, but then the issue detection is automatic. So I'll probably use this time to dive into some of the issues. Like I'll just highlight a couple of them. So touch target size, what does this WCAG success criteria says that each and every interactive element, be it button or any link, it should have enough tap area. So the height and width should be proper. So if that's not there, then it becomes an issue. So if I open this one, any particular card, as you also see, initially all the issues are being highlighted. As I hover only on touch target size, only those 3 issues are being highlighted. As I go inside the details, only that particular issue will be highlighted. So you can easily understand where the issue. So in this case, the 3 dots that you see, that has an accessibility problem because the tap area is very, very small, that people will not be able to act on it. So as per the WCAG guidelines, the expected tap area is 24 dp into 24 dp. As per that WCAG 2.2, given that I have selected 2.2, but what we have detected is only 16 dp. So which is a problem here. And this is very easy for me to understand. I don't have to consume so many details. It's like just out there, right? I can make some actions. And if you want more details that you want to share it with the development team, you can go to view details. Here we provide all the information around what is the class name. In this case, the view ID is missing. The developer has not provided the view ID. And what are the different properties that we use to detect this issue? That is also available. So this might be helpful for your development team before fixing the issue.
I think that's a very interesting violation that you're speaking about, the touch target size. And I remember like early on when you were developing this and we were speaking with clients, something that you would always tell us is, Rohit, please go ahead and select WCAG 2.1 AAA. So maybe you can just tell the audience about, because every time we have a conversation with clients, they say that we are aiming at 2.1 AA. But why should we look at 2.1 or 2.2 AAA for a mobile app? If you could just, speak a bit about that.
So my point in this case has always been at least detect all the issues, then prioritize which one to fix, because it's always about priority at the end of the day. We don't have enough time and resources to fix all the issues. But touch target size, especially, like it's very, very important for any disabled person, right? If someone has motor disability, the touch target size is important. So what I would suggest is like always go for the highest success criteria or conformance level, in this case 2.2 AAA, and figure out which ones are like very important for like all the serious ones, at least serious and critical should be fixed. And within the moderate and minor one, you figure out which one to prioritize, right? So that's how I see it, but it's not necessarily true for all the organization because they have their own priority list. Right. So that's how I see it. It's more than WCAG guidelines in my point of view, right? You have to make your app so much accessible to everyone. Yeah. So back to the point. So Rohit, I think I answered your point to some extent.
Yes.
I'll
Thank
just
you.
continue. Cool. So similarly, if you go to touch element color contrast, right? So again, it's the same. You will be highlighted with the exact issue that is there. In this case, the skip button that is out there does not have enough contrast. The background and foreground color ratio should be 4.5:1, but in this case, it's very poor. And actually, you can visibly see it, right? The gray color does not have enough contrast with the darker gray, the lighter gray color in the background. So this is what it is. Like it's very easy for you to understand and then share the details with the developer. So once you are done with the testing, usually people do workflow-based testing. Like in case of an e-commerce application, I go add product to cart and then go to a payments page and then complete the flow and then start with another flow. For this case, you can save the report and then restart your testing for the different workflow. That's also possible. But if you want to continue with the different workflows in the same session, that's also feasible. Now what it's going to do, now there comes the cloud dashboard part. So we have a cloud dashboard and where all the reports are saved for you, right? If you want to access it like few days back, few weeks back, it's all available for you. You don't have to worry about it. And one thing I should have mentioned earlier is that as you scan for issues, you see the issues on the right hand side. But if you want me to compare with other products there, like it's not easy, right? You have to do scanning at one place and then you have to go to dashboard to see the issues. Not very easy process. But in this case, you have all the information right next to each other. Now, this is the report that we have created recently. And like if you have too many reports, you have options to filter the reports as well, right? Now, in this case, if I go here, and the same information that we have consumed while doing the scanning, it's all available, like who created a bunch of information around. So the BrowserStack test is the name of my account. Like ideally it should be Srinivas, but the name of the account is BrowserStack test. And when it was created, what was the account conformance level that was chosen, and then what is the package that was chosen. All this information will be available. And top, you also have an option to share this report with your colleagues, right? It could be your internal stakeholders or external stakeholders. You can choose it. In case if they have login access to BrowserStack, you can use this link. This is private sharing. And if you think the security is one of the important concerns, you should always use this. But in case if you want to share the report with external colleagues, you can enable public sharing. So they don't have to log into BrowserStack to access the report, right? They can directly see the information, and all the information that you see here will be available to them as well. And again, here, if you want to filter, given that I have selected 2.2 AAA, then let's say I want to focus only on 2.2 AA to fix the issues, or I just want to focus on 2.2 single A issues, then I can filter out and consume only those information. So this is where the priority comes in. Like you can prioritize this way also. And here also we'll find out all the rules that are supported by BrowserStack. So a bunch of rules, and most of the rules we didn't find issues because we just did the testing on only a couple of screens. This will be helpful information. So which one has passed and which one has failed, you will be able to understand it as well. So that is some of the features with respect to workflow scanner. In case more questions, we'll be answering during the Q&A, and if possible, I'll reshare as well. And in case of iOS, the process is completely the same. So you just start a session, and it will allow you to upload your application. So don't want to get into that so much. I'll just show you how does it work. So the same interface as I called out, you can install via App Store or test, right? So one of these options will be available. So I'm just canceling this because we can also do screen reader testing. So now that we have checked app workflow scanner, how does it help you to save time? And secondly, we also looked at the manual test reports. We also help you perform screen reader testing as well. So this is the point that I talked about, juggling between multiple tools, that you don't have to juggle between multiple tools for doing iOS testing, Android testing. And even if you want to do screen reader compliance, there are specific users, they are interested only in screen reader testing. You can come to this platform and start the screen reader testing as well. Right. So again, the process is same. It's going to launch a device. It's going to allow you to install your application, and then you can just turn on the screen reader. I would like to take this time to announce something. We recently launched BrowserStack App Accessibility Testing in GA. All the messages are going live as we speak here. So this product is generally available to everyone. I would request, or like, if you are interested, try out the platform, share feedback. I will want to improvise the product as much as possible to help you solve accessibility issues. That's our main vision. Now, just going back, I'm going with the sample app journey here. So this is again very simple. You have a bunch of other options on the left hand side here. So you can enable screen reader. Along with that, you can also change the location, as we discussed earlier. You can also change the language, like if you're interested in Portuguese or any other languages, you can choose here. And you can also record the entire session. So if you want to record the session and share it with the development team, that this is how the screen reader behaves as an artifact, they can do that as well. And we also provide you an option to capture the screenshot with the captions. So as the screen reader speaks, the caption will be available. So you can capture a screenshot as well. And local testing, as we discussed, you can retrieve data from your local environment. Now I'll just turn on the screen reader. What it's going to do is it's going to read through each and every element out there. I'll wait for
Talk back on. New gestures in TalkBack. Tap to learn how to use TalkBack faster with new gestures. Wikipedia Alpha, the free encyclopedia. In over 300 languages. The free encyclopedia. In over 300 languages. We've found the following on your device. Add or edit languages button. Double tap to activate.
Yeah, so as you might have seen, I just started navigating through that elements using the keyboard. So what we have done here essentially is that all the touch gestures, like you have to go to next item, you usually do swipe right. In this case, we have mapped these touch gestures in a keyboard action. So I don't have to do touch actions here. You just need to use keyboards to go next or previous, and all these gestures are available in our documentation as well. Sorry about that. Okay, sorry. Okay, to call you out, like all these gestures are available on the documentation. So in case if you are like concerned, like how do I perform keyboard action, these are already documented in a documentation page. You can refer to that and perform it. So again, this is as simple as that, right? You just upload your application, enable screen reader, and that's about it. You don't have to do much. I mean, there is nothing more to cover in terms of screen reader testing because it's pretty manual at this moment. So going back to our dashboard. So these are the three important pieces I wanted to cover. And as we talk about, this product is slightly manual today, right? The navigation is manual, but then the issue detection is automatic. We are also coming up with our automated products, right? Be for an SDET persona or for a manual QA persona, we are coming up with products that will help you reduce the manual effort as well. So you can just watch out for our updates. So that's pretty much about the demo side of things. You have something to add? If I have missed out, like please call out.
No, Srini, I think that's pretty much a lot of things that you did cover. So thank you for showcasing the product. Really glad to announce to the whole audience here that we are general access now. Looking forward to hear your opinion about the product, how we can help you, help you with this challenge. We also have on the screen a quick view of our accessibility product suite. As a company, we are trying to look at this from multiple angles because, like we were discussing at the start, what our clients, what our users, what the end users have taught us is that it's an effort from teams across across multiple departments in a company. So you can see that this is what a stack looks like. We have we have a lovely web accessibility toolkit that will cover monitoring solution, manual testing, test automation. Anybody in your organization, technical or non-technical colleagues, can get started. It's quite easy. You already saw mobile app accessibility that we spoke about right now. What Trini spoke about. You don't need a C-type cable. You don't need a real device in your hand. You don't need a desktop application. We're just trying to make this a bit easy, intuitive. All you need is one URL. You go to that URL, you'll see all the devices that you can connect to in real time, 365 days, 24/7, anywhere across the globe. Because we really believe, technology should be accessible. What this also allows you to do for the get access to real screen readers, because that's basically the base for accessibility testing. Everything is built on screen readers because that's how our users consume technology. So that means that you'll get access to voiceover, NVDA, talkback. We have all of that readily available. We're also coming up with a PDF scanner. So colleagues from the, folks from the BFSI sector, I know all of you are pretty interested in hearing about this. So we are coming up with that too. And we also are looking at multiple ways to solve for, the design side of things, the dev side of things, and maybe on the services audit side of things. So we are looking at, all various aspects on how we can look at accessibility and how we can provide you a, complete solution. I think we have pretty much come to the end of our webinar. I hope it was interesting. We were able to provide you value. We were able to discuss and make you think a bit about accessibility for mobile apps and web technologies in general. I would love to open this up for Q&A. We have got lovely, like a lot of questions. I can see it's popping on the webinar window. So I'll kind of just start picking one after the other. I hope we have time to cover a lot of them. We have tried to answer a lot of them. Our colleagues have tried to do that. I think I'll start with one of the questions which says that I think Jashwant is saying that it's a pretty lengthy scroll view. Do I have to? Can it scan all the views beneath? Shri, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. So I think Rohit, you know the answer. So just for the audience here. So we understand that the current process is manual, right? You have to go viewport after viewport. It doesn't go automatically down. But this is something we are trying to solve in multi-folds. So as I mentioned, if you are an SZ person, right? Sorry, if you are doing automated testing today using some functional testing, using Appium or Espresso, anything on these lines. So we are trying to come up with a capability, adding that whenever you are executing functional testing, all the accessibility runs will be running in the backend. So you don't have to do anything from your end. So as the functional test suites are being executed, we'll be generating accessibility reports and we'll be providing us within our dashboard itself. So if you are doing functional testing, that process is automated for you. You don't have to worry about it. And if you're doing manual testing, right? And for such folks also, we are coming up with something called continuous scanning. There are multiple features that we are arriving at. So that will allow you to capture the journey once and then retest it again and again. Or it could be capture the entire page instead of just the viewport. These are all the options we are evaluating for the manual testing folks also. So we are continuously investing as we stressed so much about. We are continuously investing and then innovating on this space. So we'll give you updates like within next couple of months on the features that we just discussed.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Shri. I think Harmia is asking, does the tool provide any accessibility score or anything like that in the roadmap that we have?
Sure. Yeah. So people want to look at accessibility score because they just want to check where do they stand. Okay, even though there are multiple views about it, this is part of our roadmap. We want to provide a proper accessibility score. It's not something is part of the immediate roadmap. This is in the midterm that we are considering. But we always advise people that all the issues must be fixed irrespective of the category. That's when we'll be able to achieve WCAG compliance. Just for the priority, we can look at the severity levels, but then it's ideal to fix all the issues. But just to answer your question, accessibility score is something that we are working on, or it's part of our midterm roadmap.
Got it. There's Shrikant that's asking how many checkpoints are covered so far. I think what Shrikant is trying to ask is maybe success criteria or maybe a checklist, or how is our rule engine looking right now, Shri?
Got it. It's a good question. So so as I called out during our benchmarking that we have done across multiple applications, we figured out that 10 to 12 success criteria are the most important ones because that translate to 65 to 70% of the issues that we have observed. So we have taken a bunch of application and did this exercise. So now BrowserStack today covers most of them. We covered 12 success criteria, right? And we are also adding more as we speak right now. So coverage wise, we are they're at 25% today, but then within a quarter, we'll get more than 30%. So that is the best thing that you would see anywhere in the market.
Got it. I think one of the aspects that it always astonishes us, right, Shri, whenever we speak to clients is that just like how your issues come up in a linter, all these issues are quite common. They usually repeat after every release cycle. You kind of go back, you see all these issues. I think it's pretty similar with accessibility too, right? We've seen a lot of issues being repeated one after the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think when the team was building the product, you and the engineering team, I think you folks focused on that aspect a lot. Like, how can we take down the most common repeatable issues? Maybe you would just like to touch upon that, Shri. What are your thoughts behind building the product, and why did we look at it from that perspective?
Exactly. So yeah, you mostly covered everything, but then there are two aspects to it, like just automate most of the success criteria, and then we can just knock down the easiest ones. That is one route of going about it. And the other route, we see which ones are most impactful and try to automate them. So we looked at these two approaches and we went with the later one because we wanted to create more impact. So when we decided to go GA, this is the first thing we looked at, is this product creating good, is it impactful enough to release to GA, right? So we are thinking in that direction. So whenever we add a new rule or new success criteria being automated, we think that whether this is going to make any impact in terms of, not in terms of coverage, in terms of the issues that are going to be identified. So we always prefer that rather than just automating each and everything that is possible, which is not going to create a lot of impact.
Got it. Thanks for the sharing that. I think we have a lovely question from Eric too. Are we focusing? I mean, is the tool able to focus on existing apps, not ones currently in development, or any browser-based with mobile interfaces? I think Eric's question is twofold. He's asking for whether we can use a toolkit like ours at the development side, the development phase on the more on the left side of SDLC, and also how are we supporting browser based with mobile interfaces, applications. So these are the two questions that he has. Shri, maybe if you can take the first one. Yeah.
For the development one that we are evaluating right now, right? Currently, we don't have a product, linter sort of a product that you want to test as you develop. But then the automated product that I talked about, wherein you will be able to integrate with your CI/CD. So if you are having accessibility checks before deploying your code, you can use that product, which is like being developed. We are aiming to launch it pretty soon, like within a quarter or so. So using that, if you have PR checks, like before merging a PR, you want to do accessibility check, you can use it. And also the linter-based tools, also something we are evaluating, but there is no timeline that I can share right now. The second part, probably Rohit, if you want to answer, or like we have an web accessibility product that it will be taken care of there. But Rohit, if you want to share more info on that, would be
Sure, Shri. So Eric, I think we have a lovely web accessibility toolkit too that you can use for just plugging into your end-to-end test just by adding one line of code, and your existing end-to-end test will automatically start testing for accessibility. So it does cover a lot of issues. I mean, a lot of accessibility issues on the web side of things. I think Shri and the team are building something pretty similar for the app accessibility side of things. So what that means is all our clientele that are using us anyways will just have to add that line of code, and your existing application or your end-to-end test will automatically start producing results for accessibility, both on the mobile app side and on the web side of things. So that's how we are looking at that problem. I think Mark has a pretty unique question, Shri. So I think they're looking at, let's say, if you're able to, show the traffic from, let's say, a country like UK, let's say, because their application is targeting only the UK market, will the talkback settings default to an English language, or the language that is present in those particular country that the traffic routes to? I think this is a pretty interesting question that Mark is asking, because recently we just released a native language for one of the countries, after working with a client. Shri, your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So Mark, to just double click on this. So I think you are interested mainly from the screen reader perspective, given that you have mentioned talkback. So what we have done here is that when you change the language, the setting that I have showed on the left navigation, it allows, and it changes the device setting itself. That in case if you are using some other language and you change to English, the app changes to English itself. So that way we are sorted. And even there are like non-English languages, let's say Hindi or Portuguese, as I called out earlier, even those languages are also available. It's just settings that you need to change. So the device settings will change in itself. Right. So that's how it works. It's as simple as that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I think we're kind of taking advantage of the 13 years of expertise that we have with real devices, with, let's say, the 19 data centers that data centers that we have spread across the globe. So it allows us and helps us to be in that position where we are able to do that. But yeah, we are happy that we can do that for our clients. I think there are a lot of questions around the European Accessibility Act. I think George, you're asking about what would be the impact of that, and because ADA compliance has been there in the US for a while. I mean, I think it's more coming from a fact that will that even make a difference, right? So maybe I can take a jab at it, George. We've been working in this space for a while now, so for maybe a year, maybe more than a year now. And I can say this with absolute confidence that the conversations that we are having in the European region, in the UK region, has substantially increased. I think that itself is a good primer for us to understand that the European Accessibility Act 2025 has been taken with utmost seriousness. Companies are looking to comply with it, not only not only because it's the right thing to do, but I think it's more from a compliance standpoint. So I think it does help companies, move in that direction, though maybe via compliance or maybe via any other aspect. But I think, at least in my experience, the number of conversations have gone up quite drastically because of that act. This also means that specific countries are looking at specific compliances for their region. They're asking me questions about, what does our country do? How does this relate to the act? Does it mean that we have to look at our internal applications, external applications, etc.? So I think it definitely is making a difference. I mean, all the government agencies for each of these countries, especially the UK government, is like so good with accessibility. So I think they are pretty good. They already are doing the right things. It's more of the private organizations that are looking at trying to comply with this more and trying to help. I hope this was not too lengthy, and I hope I was able to answer some aspect of it. All right, I think we have pretty much covered all of the repetitive questions, at least.
One thing I see is voiceover, as I
Sure.
scroll from the top. So voiceover is supported. As I showed, we were showing on a couple of devices. We in fact support multiple voiceover devices, but it's currently limited. It's only limited to set of packages. Like, if you're interested, we can talk about it later. Get in touch with us. But to answer your question, it's supported on multiple devices. To answer your question, I don't know who raised that question.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything. I think one last question is that I would like to take is that is there a way to export the result versus sharing a link, maybe an Excel sheet? What are the ways that we're looking at it? So maybe Shri, you can also highlight our integrations with toolset that is coming up. I'll directly plug into the pipeline, and maybe also look at the how can users across the organization consume our output for accessibility reports.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. It allows me to talk something about our roadmap as well. So one thing I highlighted about our roadmap is that we are adding or automating more success criteria as we speak right now. Secondly, today, as I showed during the demo, you can share the report with a link to even internal and external stakeholders. That one part of sharing. Let's say if you want to report the issue with Jira or ADO, whichever you are using, we are currently building on that feature as well. So on one click, we'll be able to auto-populate the data, and you can integrate issues directly with Jira. So if there are 100 issues, we'll be able to create 100 issues on Jira as well. So that is something work in progress, should be available pretty soon. Secondly, and there are like folks that I have talked to, they mentioned that they still want to download the report in a CSV or Excel format so that they can customize, add more data into it and share with your leadership teams and so on. For that purpose also, we are working on downloading the report in a CSV or Excel format. And that is being in active development, should be available in a week or two, right? So these are the things we are working on with respect to the reporting side of things. Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
All right. Thank you once again for joining us, folks. It was amazing to host you. I think a lot of folks have stayed back till the very end. Really appreciate that. And for all the folks who had meetings or who had other aspects that they had to move to, we will be sending you a recording. We really hope to host more conversations with you on one-on-one and see how we can help you with this journey. And maybe we both learn something in the process, and hopefully we can help you with your whole accessibility journey. Thank you for joining, folks. Hope to talk to you all soon. Shri.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you, Rohit.
Bye-bye.